Hello there folks, and how is it going? And welcome back to another video, and welcome to Lisbon. Now, in today's video we are going to answer the age-old question of, can the Osmo Pocket 3 take good photographs? And that's ultimately what we're here to try and do. So, as many of you know, I got this Osmo Pocket 3 as part of my kit before we left home to come on this adventure. And I've been, testing the waters a little bit in terms of taking pictures with it. So I've ultimately decided to come to Lisbon and, put it to its test. Now, this video is mainly going to be a bit of a kind of like street photography / kind of architectural photography kind of scene. So if you're not super keen on that, don't worry about it. It probably won't last too long. And yeah, because Lisbon has some absolutely gorgeous architecture, and it's a wonderful city for kind of new meets old, and I love that about Lisbon. I have videos from Lisbon in the past and have been to Lisbon many times and really love it. It's probably one of my favorite cities in Europe, if not the world, and I figure this would be a good opportunity to put this little camera to the test and see if we can manage to take any pictures. Now, I know people do these kinds of videos all the time, so it's probably a bit clickbaity. So if you came here on the clickbait, then welcome. So I'm not really going to get too overly technical in this because I don't really do that kind of stuff. But maybe we'll pixel peep a little bit if we feel like we want to do something along those lines. Now, I was taking some photographs as I was walking into the city this evening. I was just doing some work here. I might test the waters as well with the little variable ND filter that I have and the little wide angle kind of magnet thing, and see if we can go about taking some long exposures as well. So lots to look forward to here. But if the pictures that I took earlier turn out to be any good, I'm going to pop them up on the screen for you right now. Let's have a look. Welcome friends to the ASMR Photography Studio, and welcome to the photo section of the Osmo Pocket 3. Now, you may hear some birds in the background. Is because I am standing in the middle of a field recording this voiceover, surrounded by the absolutely stunning landscape of Spain. And one of the main reasons why I wanted to create this video was because I always found myself being quite drawn to street photography, and for me travel photography always encompasses a deeper story to a location, and it's not just about that one kind of particular scene, and I always found myself taking pictures all the time than I do now. I still walk around with my camera in hand, but it's a very different kind of situation that I do it in nowadays to when I used to take more photographs for the blog and so on and so forth. And this was the real main kind of reason why I embarked on this particular adventure and experiment. So these images you're looking at now were the first iteration of me testing the waters. So welcome back to the streets of Lisbon, folks. Now, I was playing around with some of the settings yesterday on the Osmo Pocket 3 here, the gizmo as we like to call it. And it dawned on me when I was looking through the pictures that you would have just seen that they were all shot at a 16:9 aspect ratio. Now look, I love a good 16:9 aspect ratio, but for this kind of stuff, I don't think it really works too well. So you basically have two options with this little fella here. You've got the 16:9 aspect ratio and the 1:1 aspect ratio. Now, I do like a good 1:1 aspect ratio. Problem I have with 16:9, particularly in a portrait orientation, is they're just too long. They're two kind of Instagram stories, and and I'm not really super keen on that. So I think the next few images that I'm going to wander around and try and take will basically be in a 1:1 aspect ratio. So it's actually kind of nice because it gives you that framing on the camera, so it enables you to be a bit more kind of like intuitive in relation to what you're shooting. So if any of these pictures turn out to be any good, I'm going to pop them up on the screen for you now. So as I mentioned, these images are the ones captured at a 1:1 aspect ratio. Now, like I mentioned, I do enjoy a good 1:1 aspect ratio. It wouldn't be my preferred aspect ratio, but still, you got to work with the limitations you are presented with. Nonetheless, I am super happy with how these images turned out. I love the long shadows of street photography, particularly in golden light like this. It really lends itself super duper well to capturing really, really nice kind of story driven images, and I love that about these. So there's only a handful and I'll keep it short and sweet for this one. So I must say I am very, very happy with the results here. So you'll need to tell me whether any of those turned out any good. I'm sure my classic ASMR photography lab has you know, done the job, but we will see. So you know what I'm going to try do next is that I have this little variable ND filter. Nice. And I am going to pop that on and see about taking some longer exposures, because realistically when the sun starts to set here in Lisbon, you need to be very high in order to kind of see it and get those really beautiful sunset views, which I'm not. I'm right down at the bottom, as you could probably tell from the pictures we were taking. And so I'm going to try and play around with this little fella here now and see if I can handhold some longer exposures and see if we can, I don't know, try something. We're here to play it, and that's the important thing. Doing it, it's a magnet. Doop. And then I can adjust. No, it's a K and F one, so I don't know whether we're going to get any of that kind of like cross thing, which I'll have to play around with, so I will report back if that does happen. But for now, let's have a look and see if any of these pictures turn out to be good. I'm going to pop them up on the screen for you now. In terms of the long exposure capability, I was only able to get it down to about a half a second, even with the variable ND on, which is okay. Half a second is always nice. I do enjoy a good half-second exposure. And, you know, as these examples here, they're a bit kind of crap, but, you know, what can you do? But other than that, I'm super happy with the idea and the notion that you can take long exposure images to a certain degree, handheld, of course, too, with this Osmo Pocket 3. So, you know, there's still plenty more to experiment and find good compositions and, you know, streak those lights as we all so enjoy. But overall, yeah, you know, a happy little result for this one. Well, that was a fun little experiment. I had a great time doing that. Always love a good kind of long exposure in a cityscape, you know, it's kind of scene. So I really enjoyed that. But the variable ND, you can see, let me see if I was definitely getting those little kind of cross things that was happening, and so that's just the variable NDs. I think the kind of lower in price you go, the kind of more that happens. But, you know, sure, such is the way things. I'm delighted to have it nonetheless, because I guess it probably gives that nice kind of background blur. But right now I'm just heading to the train station because I am going to get the train back to where we are parked and meet up with Senior Spielbergo. God love her, her knee is still a bit busted. We ended up having to go to the hospital to get x-rayed and all sorts. So thankfully, it was a good report. There was nothing, you know, really wrong. It was just a really, really bad kind of strain that she did. And but we had to get crutches and everything. So God love her, she's kind of held up a little bit. And but sure, look, such is the way of things. But RICE, that's the RICE, rest, ice. Something, then you'll see, you will avoid catastrophe. But for now, I'm going to head back, see if I can shoot another couple more pictures. Oh, just to give you a bit of an idea of the kind of picture that I'm standing here waiting ages for, is I know that tram in the distance, let me see if I can zoom in there. You see that fella there here? Where's my, you see that guy? He is going to come around here towards us, and I am just going to wait, and see if I can get you know, a decent shot of him coming towards us. And yeah, so it's just proven to be a fun challenge, this, I must say. And one thing that I have noticed is that the zoom, the reach, you miss the reach. It probably goes from, like, you know, super wide to, you know, kind of wide. So it can be a bit challenging for sure, but nonetheless we are trying our best to overcome. So anyways, if this particular image that I'm probably going to stand here waiting another 10 minutes for turns out to be any good, I'm going to pop it up on the screen for you now. For me, there's nothing as quintessentially Lisbon as these beautiful trams that roam through the town, and photographing them like this, I really always do enjoy a good tram photograph. And, you know, coupling this with the kind of long exposure, you know, it gives itself a nice sense of motion here. And these particular images I'm actually very happy with, because I think these might be kind of my favorite ones from the lot, but that remains to be seen. And again, this idea of travel photography for me really hits home when you are photographing scenes like this, because you know these trams tell such a deep story to the city of Lisbon, and you know capturing that emotion as well really helps kind of, you know, tell a better story to the overall experience of visiting a location like this. So welcome back to another day here in the beautiful city of Lisbon. I love street photography and architectural photography where I've got these really harsh kind of shadows and lines, and that's ultimately what I'm out to seek today, because there's not a cloud in the sky. If there's ever going to be a day to do that, it would be today. So that's going to be the test for today. So whereas last night or yesterday evening we were looking at these beautifully long, lovely, soft shadows in the dying light of the day, today we seek harsh contrast. I am on my way back to the bus station, which thankfully is only a short walk from where we're staying. I'm gonna hop on the bus and let's get to it. So you see this that we're looking at right now, obviously this is 16:9, I probably zoomed in a bit too much there. I love this kind of scene. You've got this gorgeous harsh shadow on the left, and then of course you've got the beautiful sunlight on the right, and the intention hopefully is to try and capture somebody either in the shadow with light on their face or in the bright sunshine and kind of in shadow. It's a wonderful thing because you've got the beautiful texture of the wall first of all, and then that shutter acting as a lovely kind of background. Oh, here's somebody here now, so you can kind of see there that person walking in there. It's the kind of vibe that we're ultimately after. So I'm going to stop rambling, I'm going to stand here for a minute and see if I can take a photograph. So these last few images that we are looking at now are just a random collection of images that I photographed while wandering around, that I didn't do too much kind of talking about, because you know, you would have missed the scene if I had started to talk about this, that way or the other first. But really happy with the overall kind of vibe to the images. As I mentioned earlier, the 16:9 is a thing, and I'll get onto that now in just a moment. But overall, you know, the images are strong enough to use, and while it may not be as incredibly responsive as you would hope, it still takes photographs, and that's what's important. So anyways, yeah, fun times had on the streets of Lisbon, capturing the essence of the city in my view, which I really enjoyed about doing this little experiment. So it dawned on me as well that one thing that we can test as well on this little gizmo is the time-lapse features. I love time-lapses, and you know, it would be remiss of me not to talk about time-lapses considering they are a collection of photographs. So I am just rambling around trying to find spots to plunk this thing and take some time-lapses, and yeah, it's really good. You know, you still have to have that same kind of mindset of framing and composition, and then you just let it ride and see what happens, and you know, they always turn out really great. I love the people zipping around in the frame, so I am going to put together a small little compilation of time lapses, and fingers and toes crossed it turns out to be any good, and I'm going to pop it up on the screen for you right now.
We're going back, but if you want that,
Well folks, I hope you enjoyed that jaunt around Lisbon, because I certainly did. You know, Lisbon, I think I've walked, I think I did about maybe 40,000 steps knocking around these last few days between the work and then getting this video sorted. But the question remains, does the Osmo Pocket 3 take good photographs? Yeah, sure, of course it does. Let me put my tea down. You know, the term good photograph, I suppose, is quite a subjective thing. So really, you know, it works, it takes photographs, and that's really what it does, you know. Obviously there's no denying the video capabilities of it. The convenience of this little thing is just, it has been total game changer stuff. Of course, then you've got the time-lapse functions, which are absolutely incredible. And then, of course, the photography end of things. I think realistically, the shortcomings for me anyway, in what I set out to do with it, the gimbal, just not being able to keep up, which is so quick. And then, of course, the fact that you can only shoot at a 16:9 or a 1:1. You can always crop it after the fact, whatever, it's fine. So, you know, it takes photographs. And as Chase Jarvis once said, the best camera really is the one that you have with you. So in terms of moving forward, kind of trying to use it as part of my workflow when I want to try and create a bit more of a, you know, behind the scenes kind of thing. Like I say, if I have it in my hand, if I'm recording a piece like this and I think, oh wow, look at this behind me now, turn it around, grab a picture, fine, dandy, whatever. But I think the responsiveness, say for instance, of my phone, I still have the Google Pixel, and just the responsiveness of that, I think will always, and it's just, your phones are always in your pocket anyway. Probably reach for that sooner than me trying to faff this thing out of the little case and, oh my god, it's seen to be well gone by the time you get to that anyway. So I'm drinking some tea here this evening. It's a fine evening. You're going to see where I'm sitting in next week's video, and it's a doozy, folks. But anyways, I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope I was able to kind of like answer any kind of questions you may have in relation to the photography capabilities of this camera. Yeah, so there you are. Anyways, if you liked the video, folks, do please hit the like button. And if you fancy following along for more of this wonderful adventure we find ourselves on, you are most welcome to hit that subscribe button. But for now, take it easy, everybody. Cheers.